QuaranJazz. Listen while you're home. Hello and welcome to the 29th episode of QuaranJazz, your weekly update on what is happening on the jazz scene during the year of 2020. I'm Geisa Fernandes, singer, songwriter, music researcher from Rio de Janeiro, Brazil, and every week I tell you a different story about how is this year going in some part of the world of jazz. So, if you're a jazz musician, doesn't matter where you're based, I want to know what you've been doing. Are you releasing your material? Are you back to some of your activities at least? Do you like this new normal? I would love to know your opinions about these subjects, so drop me a line. It's very easy. You just have to look at the description of this episode and you will find the links to contact me. It can be from my website, geisafernandes.com, or you can also join the group The Touring Jazz Musician on Facebook. I've created this group after a guide that I wrote on jazz festivals that accept submissions directly from artists. So, if this is your thing, join the discussion, The Touring Jazz Musician, on Facebook. It will be a pleasure to have you here in QuaranJazz. And for all the jazz fans, QuaranJazz has also its own playlist on Spotify, with all the songs featured during the episodes and weekly updates. No talk, all jazz. And let's check one of the new tracks in QuaranJazz, the playlist on Spotify. Probably you're just like me, dreaming by this September in the rain. One of the tracks added this week to our QuaranJazz playlist on Spotify. No talk, all jazz. And today we are going to learn more about the Dream Maker. Directly from San Francisco, California, USA, my guest this week is saxophonist, composer, and music producer Solomon Alber. And in my very first contact to him, you know what Solomon said? That he's a long-time fan of QuaranJazz. Well, I'm always a sucker for compliments, but I must confess, I really like it to hear that. So, thank you very much for that, Solomon. And we'll start, as usual here in the show, by asking you to introduce yourself and tell us about your influences, about your story.
Hello, my name is Solomon Alber. I'm a saxophonist, composer, and music producer from the San Francisco Bay Area in California. It is my pleasure to be a part of the QuaranJazz podcast today. With so many music lovers at home right now because of COVID-19, it is podcasts like QuaranJazz that help keep the music alive.
Well, we try. Keeping the music alive, I don't know, but we try to do something at least. And thank you so much. That's so sweet. Every week I ask myself why I keep doing this, and words like yours, they really make all the difference. Thank you, really. Thanks a lot, really sweet. So, Solomon, you and music, when did it start? Do you come from a musical family? Was it an early contact?
I'm a descendant of Eastern European Jewish immigrants, and music was something that I grew up listening to. Later on, through various recommendations from music teachers and friends, I discovered records by Miles Davis, Charlie Parker, Art Pepper, and John Coltrane. One thing that strikes me is that when we hear these records, there is always something new to discover from them every time. This is when I was really bit by the jazz bug, and music became my whole life. From a young age, I was told of the great commitment that the great jazz musicians of our time had shown to their music, and it was at this time that I began to devote 3 to 6 hours a day to practice. On top of those hours of practice, I participated in the music program at Amador Valley High School, as well as several conglomerate jazz big bands like the SF Jazz High School All-Stars, directed by Paul Contos, and the California Jazz Conservatory Studio Band, directed by Dave Eshelman.
You know, Solomon, last week's guest, Jordan Faring, who's also a sax player from California. So as you can see, you guys have a lot in common. Well, he said that the jazz scene in California is quite flourishing. I don't know, did you also experience these scenes? Can you name some of those places?
I gained experience performing and gigging in venues around the Bay Area, including Yoshi's, the Sound Room, the SF Jazz Center, as well as several acclaimed colleges, including Stanford University, Cal State East Bay, and the California Jazz Conservatory.
And when did the composer come to light? When did you start to write your music?
In 2016, I was one of 12 students selected internationally to receive the Presidential Scholarship at the Berklee College of Music. I began my studies at the college in 2017, and since then I have been fortunate to perform in music venues around Boston and New York City as a member of Tia Fuller's Rainbow All-Stars Band and Ralph Peterson's Gen Next Big Band. In the summer months, when I was on break from the semester at school, I returned to the Bay Area. I played shows with band leaders Myron Cohen, jazz drummer and disciple of the the great Billy Higgins, and Tor Woloshyn, 2011 X Factor finalist and international touring artist. The commitment to their craft, shown by the musicians that I've had the opportunity to work with, inspired me to create and write my own music. My music is a fusion of jazz and soul. Some of the many feelings and themes that are prevalent within my music include diversity, optimism, and exploration.
And how is 2020 going for you? I mean, since the COVID crisis started, you have a lot going on. You take part in different projects, right?
Since the COVID-19 crisis emerged, I am now working towards the grand debut of my annual online music and arts camp, set to take place next year, 2021.
Wow, that sounds great. Tell us more about the camp.
I have assembled a team of professional music and arts educators that will help facilitate fun and creative activities for all of the participating campers. There will be daily challenges each day of the camp, an awards ceremony for all the campers, and a showcase at the end of the week where they can share their camp creations with family and friends. The dates for the camp are January 4th through the 8th, 2021, and the camp will take place over Zoom from 4 to 5 p.m. Pacific Standard Time. Middle school and high school students can now register and secure a spot at the Second Wind Online Music Camp by going to my website, www.solomonalber.com/secondwind.
Wonderful. Any other projects?
Some projects that I am involved in right now are writing and recording music with my band and arranging and recording music for the Gen Next Big Band, led by Ralph Peterson Jr. I'm currently in the process of composing and recording new songs with members of my band. With two of the core band members located in Brazil, one band member is in New York and one is in LA, this band has taken on the challenges that come with recording an album entirely remotely during the time of COVID-19. I'm also arranging and recording for the Gen Next Big Band. The Gen Next Big Band meets every week and is directed by the last drummer to be taken under Art Blakey's wing, Mr. Ralph Peterson Jr. Ralph Peterson has championed this band to incredible heights. It is now considered to be one of the top professional big bands in the world. The Gen Next Big Band was recently announced the winner of the Rising Star Big Band category in Downbeat magazine.
Oh, that's splendid. And what is the current situation in your area concerning the lockdown restrictions?
I currently reside in the Alameda County of California. Currently, nearly all non-essential indoor businesses are closed. However, businesses that have incorporated outdoor seating and comply with the safety guidelines set by the CDC are allowed to operate outside. Even though the state is no longer enforcing a statewide stay-at-home order, COVID-19 is still a serious and dangerous virus. It is encouraged that people wear a mask when going outside or are in contact with other people. This is not simply because the CDC issued guidelines for safety during COVID-19, and wearing a mask just happened to be on there. It is to minimize the spread of COVID-19 so that the healthcare workers who are working tirelessly to aid people infected with the virus can do their jobs. Only we can minimize the spread of this virus by staying socially distant, at least 6 feet apart, wearing face masks, and not hosting large events with substantial amounts of people. Many venues are fighting to stay open and need assistance and donations from their communities. Performing musicians, who lost a majority of their work when the stay-at-home order was enforced in March, are now limited in the places that they may safely perform. This has caused a resurgence in the practice of busking outside in the parks. The ability for musicians to perform in the parks keeps music alive within our communities and makes it easier for them to adhere to the CDC guidelines for social distancing. Right now, the permitting process for musicians to perform in a San Francisco park is expensive, time-consuming, and inaccessible for many people. We need to change this. I'm currently organizing an online concert series involving musicians all around the world to raise funds for various social justice organizations, helping aid the Black Lives Matter movement and Amnesty International. It is my intention to continue to organize these benefit concerts and to involve more musicians who would also like to help contribute to these causes.
Oh, what a nice action, Solomon, really. And where can we get more information about it?
For more information on how to get involved in this concert series, please visit www.solomonalber.com or message me on Instagram or Facebook.
Thank you. And what do you think about the new normal? Do you think musicians can cope with that? How do you feel about it?
As a whole, I have seen the musicians gain much more openness to lend their talents for the betterment of their communities. I'm feeling optimistic about the music community tackling this new normal.
Very glad to hear that, Solomon. Well, at the beginning of the episode, we heard your version of September in the Rain, a classic. I would like to listen to your comments on this recording and also your comments on the track that you've selected for us to listen in full at the end of the episode. And by the way, dear listener, the song has a very interesting title.
September in the Rain is a song that was written by Harry Warren, prolific jazz composer whose compositions have since become world-famous jazz standards. It was written in 1935 to be featured in the movie Stars Over Broadway, and was also later used in the film Melody for Two in 1937. Since the song's debut, it has been recorded by many famous jazz musicians, like Sarah Vaughan, Johnny Hartman, Frank Sinatra, Dinah Washington, the Beatles, George Shearing, and Cyril Aimee, among many others. When I had the chance to record in the Berklee College of Music studios last year, I met up with my dear friend Nikos Chatsitsakos and my wonderful engineer Matt Ho to record a small EP of jazz standards that are very dear to me and Nikos. Me and Nikos both were very inspired by the recordings that Houston Pearson and Ron Carter graced the jazz world with in 2016. I think we were both enamored by the many complementary sounds that the tenor saxophone and the acoustic bass shared. So we decided that it would be best if we chose songs that provided adequate contrast with each other. And so we settled on September in the Rain, Shawnee Stockings, by the great Count Basie, and Sophisticated Lady, a wonderful ballad made famous by Duke Ellington and his big band. We both enjoyed playing these songs very much. So we went into the studio and recorded them. In a musical duo setting, there's so much room to be free. You can really pass around a lot of ideas with each other, and often, on a whim, traditional instrumental roles can be switched. For instance, one concept that we had experimented with while playing these songs was having the tenor saxophone walk bass lines or comp for the bass while the bass was improvising. There's a very freeing, synergetic feeling about playing duo, and this is one of the feelings we were trying to express in September in the Rain. The song that you're going to hear is entitled Salmon, Alaska. It was recorded in a professional recording studio at the Berklee College of Music. The song features guitarist João Perusi, bassist Neil LaPola, drummer Guy Fuentes, pianist Warren Petty, and myself on the tenor saxophone. Salmon, Alaska tells the story of one of nature's most exciting dramas, the upriver salmon migration. It is a tale of bravery, struggle, and loss, and one that most Alaskan salmon, which have become a species threatened of becoming endangered, live through each time they make the journey to the freshwater stream of their origin. Much like the journey the salmon must face, the song also takes the listener on a journey. Right now, you can listen to the song Salmon, Alaska on Spotify, YouTube, Apple Music, Bandcamp, and all other streaming services. Please let me know what you think of the song. I would love to hear your feedback and comments about the song. Thank you.
Oh, we'll definitely check it and give you some feedback. Thank you for reminding that. I guess sometimes it's not really clear for the audience, for the listeners, how important it is to get this feedback. When a single, an EP, an album is released, doesn't matter. The directly contact made possible by the internet, social networks, it's really priceless. It's something that we really should be taking more advantage of. And I might say that sometimes we even get a little bit shy. We really do. So thanks for reminding that. And thank you very much for your participation in QuaranJazz. Send my greetings to the San Francisco Bay Area and all the best. And this was the 29th episode of QuaranJazz, your weekly update on what jazz musicians are doing during the year of 2020. I'm Geisa Fernandes, singer, songwriter and music researcher from Rio de Janeiro, Brazil. As you might know by now, there are several ways to contact me, and they are all listed in the description of this episode. There you'll find the direct link to my webpage, geisafernandes.com, as well as a link to my mailing list. And for those who can't resist a group on Facebook, join the Touring Jazz Musician. The group was thought to bring up together musicians that would like to know more about festivals that accept submissions directly from artists. The Touring Jazz Musician on Facebook. See you there. You will also find a link to the Social Distancing Festival page, an amazing call for action that started back there at the beginning of the pandemic. Check it out and enjoy. Thank you for your company, my dear listener. It is what makes it all worthy after all. Thank you very much for staying with us. It's time to bid you farewell. Till next week, and now, ladies and gents, Salmon, Alaska. QuaranJazz. Listen while you're home. QuaranJazz, a podcast by Geisa Fernandes.